All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here at our second general body meeting of the semester. We are going to be recording this meeting, so we would love if you could keep your cameras on for our guests, but if you do not want to be on the recording, feel free to turn it off. But yeah, we're going to get started. So I know we have a lot of new faces around here. So we're just going to introduce ourselves, kind of go over some things. So I'm Peyton, I'm the president, and my contact information is there. I'm a senior. If you have any questions about law school, I'm in the application process right now. I'm done taking the LSAT and everything also, so feel free to reach out to me about any of that.
Hi, I am Sydney. I'm the vice president. My contact information is there. I am also a senior, so if you have any questions about LSAT applications, I'm in the process of applying. So if anyone needs any help, not that I don't know what I know, but I can help you if you have questions. So reach out to me.
Hi everyone, my name is Michaela. I'm the treasurer. I am a third year majoring in political science. I'm here if you guys have any questions, and I would be happy to help.
Hey everyone, my name's Alyssa. I am our secretary. I am a fourth year double majoring in criminology and sociology and minoring in women's studies. So I'm here also if anyone has any questions about the LSAT or about applying to law school, I'm available. Yeah.
All right, so this is what is included in membership. I know we have a lot of new faces here since we're still early on in the semester. So we do have a really exclusive, great partnership with Test Masters, and we have a bunch of great discounts for all of their different courses. I took the in-person course over the summer, so if anyone has any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. And we also have a Test Master scholarship for the most active member, the person that gets the most points. So that's definitely an incentive to come to events and just be involved in our organization because these scholarships are really worth like $1,000 or more dollars. So definitely be active if you can, if you're interested in that scholarship. And if you want a Test Masters discount, the form is pinned in Facebook. So you can just fill that out and then I will contact you once you have been added to our list. And then also when it comes to Test Masters, we have a mock LSAT and a seminar to go over it with them. That's going to be on October 14th. Sydney's going to send out the information in the chat for how to sign up for that. I also have sent out info in the group me and on our email list, but I'll make sure to send it out again. So keep signing up for that, especially if you're in the process of studying for the LSAT or just curious about it, definitely make sure to go.
All right, so other benefits that are included in your membership are the different networking opportunities that are available with our speakers and members. You receive advice on applying to law school, and you receive which many of you are like in the process of doing right now, and you also have access to internship and involvement opportunities. If you are graduating this fall, graduation cords are included in your membership, so please email me to request a graduation cord or message me through GroupMe. Finally, dues include all activities throughout the semester. Our wonderful directors plan several events each month, so make sure to attend those and come out and meet new people. To become a member, you must pay your dues by October 10, which is our third GBM. New members pay $35 each semester after the first. Each member will pay $20. If a returning member is inactive for one semester prior, you will have to pay $25. Now, all of the payments are to be made through Venmo at UFPLHS 2023-24. And it's very important that when you are making the payments through Venmo, that you ensure you send the payment without the protection plan. This is just to make sure that we receive the full payment and we don't have to like track you down or anything. If you have any questions about that, feel free to contact me. And the second requirement is to earn the required amount of points to be considered an active member. Directors need to earn at least 60 points and members need to earn at least 45 points.
Hey everyone. So a little bit about points, as Michaela was just talking about. For our GBMs, everyone gets 5 points if you do your attendance. For in-person director events, there's 4 points. Zoom director events are 2 points. Special events, 5 points. And also, it's not on here, but tabling is anything for that is 3 points. The point spreadsheet can be found on Facebook. It's also should be in the group me. If not, I will add it. If you have any questions about that, you're not finding your name, you're not finding whatever, you can email me. That's my email right there. You can also text me. My numbers on one of the previous slides, and you can also DM me through GroupMe. I try to have all your points updated within like 24 to 48 hours from the event, depending on when I get my attendance sent to me. So if you're not seeing it like within the next few days, let me know. And then here's our calendar. Please add this calendar to your calendar. You can do this through going to your Google Calendar, and then in the bottom left corner, it's going to say other calendars. You click the plus, and then you enter in this email here, ufprelegal@gmail.com, and that's going to tell you when all of our events are, all of our GBMs are, everything like that. The October calendar will be updated with this week, and you can see when all of our really awesome October events are going to be.
Hi, everybody. So our next GBM is going to be on October 20th, and it's with Test Masters. So something super important to note, I'm going to send a registration link in the chat. Since it's with Test Masters, you have to register for this one. It's not the normal way where you can just join the Zoom link. We're going to be sending this in the GroupMe and stuff closer, but I'm just going to send the registration link now. It's super easy, just so you can have it. And if you're starting LSAT, in the middle of LSAT, going to be doing the LSAT, is going to be super helpful. So make sure you register. And then this is all of our social media. If you don't follow us on Instagram already, definitely follow us. We post everything there. So I know things can get lost in the GroupMe. The Instagram's a really easy place to refer to. And also our website, ufplhs.com. It's in the bio. All the links are GroupMe. Everything's here. It's very easy to be in the know with PLHS if you want to be. So make sure to follow us and don't miss out on any events.
All right, time for director announcements, community service.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan, and I am one of the co-community service directors. We had some great events last month, and this month October, the coming month, we're looking forward to our bouquet making event. If you didn't know, it's Breast Cancer Education and Awareness Month, and we wanted to do an event pertaining to that. So on October 13th, we were planning at 2 p.m. to have people come to Plaza of the Americas and us all make bouquets, and then we'll drop them off at the UF Cancer Center.
Hi guys, I'm Grace. I'm the other director of community service. So for our second event of October, it's going to be more in the Halloween spirit. So we'll be doing a candy drive and putting together candy goodie bags for an organization called Soldiers Angels. So this organization accepts candy donations and then takes them and sends them to troops that are deployed and veterans. So on October 26th from 4:15 to 5:15 at the Plaza of the Americas, we're going to be sending out a reminder in the GroupMe when it's closer to the end of October, but I hope you guys come and bring some candy. And as a group, we're going to be taking all of the donated candy and putting it into individual goodie bags to send to Soldiers Angels. So I hope you guys can all make it.
Diversity.
Hi everyone, I'm Kirby. For the first event of the month, we'll be hosting a movie night later this month to celebrate Gainesville's Pride Month. There will be both an in-person and a Zoom option available, and we'll have more details in the GroupMe once we have a date finalized for everything.
Hey, it's Maria. I'm the other co-director for diversity, and the second event we were planning on hosting this October is more Halloween themed, and we are planning on discussing disabilities for Disability Awareness Month. And we'll also have more details in the group meet, and it'll be on the calendar later.
Fundraising.
Hey everyone, I'm Colin. I'm the other co-director for fundraising. First off, thank you guys so much for the great attendance last week at Canes and the Headshots fundraiser. For October, we're super excited. We're going to be having fundraiser at Blaze. That's going to be on Tuesday, October 24th from 9 to 5 or 5 to 9 p.m. Sorry. And then also an Opus fundraiser at some point that we'll announce later on. Thank you.
Internal affairs.
Hi everyone, I'm Raquel. First off, thank you for everyone who came up to our last mood boards event. I know that there was a little last minute switch up, but it was still a lot of fun, like seeing everyone there. Our next event is going to be the Build-A-Bear workshop that we were talking about last time. I'm really excited. It's going to be cute. We're just going to get the little stuffed animals. And that'll be sometime probably closer to the early half of October. And yeah.
And for the second half of October, right now, we're planning on doing bowling in the Rights. Date and time TBD, so we'll let you guys know, but hopefully we'll see you there.
Intramurals.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Davis, and I am one of the intramurals directors. I just want to say thank you guys for coming out to yoga and pickleball. It was a good time. For the first half of October, we're going to be having soccer shootouts at Flavitt Field on October 12th at 3:30, and I'm super excited for that. So I want to pass it along to Parker.
Hey guys, I'm Parker. I'm one of the other directors for intramurals. And for our second event of the month, we're going to be doing a cycling class at the rec. So keep your eyes out for an interest form that I'm going to send, just so we can get an idea of the numbers that we're going to have.
Law related.
Hey guys, I'm Gabby. I'm one of the co-directors for our law related event, and thank you all for coming to our events for last month. And we have a super exciting event coming up on October 5th at the Rights Union Room 2360. We're doing this with Phi Alpha Delta, the law fraternity, and this is a visit from NYU. They're going to come and you can show your interest if you're interested or just interested in the law admissions process in general. It's going to be super fun. We're going to have pizza, some New York City themed things, so definitely come down.
Hey everyone, my name's Anthony. I'm the other law-related director. As Gabby said, NYU is coming down and we're going all out for it, so we hope to see you guys there. And after that, there's actually an event that we're doing with Beyond 120, which is going to be the Careers for Social Impact in Law, where an attorney is actually going to come from South Legal Counsel to talk about her project in decriminalizing poverty. And additionally, for October 12th, after the Graduate and Professional Schools Fair, one of the law schools, actually Seton Hall, is from Newark, Jersey, is going to want to speak to us personally. And the day and time is going to be October 12th from 2:30 to 3:30. And last but not least, Pre-Law Advising has actually set up some workshops for freshmen as well as people who are just coming into the pre-law track to really figure out what the track is like and what to do in these undergraduate years. There's going to be multiple dates in October, and if you want to learn more, just reach out to me through GroupMe. Thank you.
Mentor mentee.
Hey guys, I'm Helena. I'm one of the co-directors for Mentor Mentee. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who came out to our last event. You guys were super engaged and it was a really awesome event to get to meet some of the mentors. At this point, we have closed the Mentor Mentee pairing forms. So everyone who has signed up to find an individualized mentor has already done so. If you are looking for to contact a law student outside of the mentor mentee program, but with just like a more casual, if you want to ask them a question or something, you can definitely reach out to me and I can give you a contact. So this month for our first event of the month, it's going to be next week, October 4th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. We are going to meet with the mentors and they are going to give you guys some LSAT tips. So that's going to be awesome. If you are planning to take the mock LSAT this month, definitely make sure you show up to this meeting.
Hey, I'm Mahima. I'm the co-director for Mentor Mentee, and our second meeting in October is going to be on October 18th, again from 5:30 to 6:30 on the PLHS Zoom. And so we're going to be having resume workshops. So first we'll go over some guidelines for how to build your resume, and then you'll be paired off with your mentor to get individualized reviews of your resume.
Mock trial.
Hey guys, my name is Trisha and I'm the mock trial director. So we finally have our teams finalized for competition in-house. So thank you for everyone that tried out or just wanted to do in-house. And then we also have tournament dates finalized for you guys. And this is for our competitive team, competitive tournament with PAD. And then our in-house tournament dates. So we'll be letting you guys know about those. If you're interested in doing mock trial, but if you want to really commit to it, I highly recommend coming out to our tournaments and seeing if it's something you'd want to do. So we can release those dates soon. And then I want to talk a little about our case packet. It's a first-degree premeditated murder case. So it's really interesting to work on. If you guys want to learn more about it or just want to read about our case packet, let me know and we can send it to you guys. Other than that, recently we've been working on our direct examinations, learning about how to question witnesses, and we're excited to start providing feedback and running our materials. And yeah.
Public relations.
Hi, I'm Peyton. I'm one of the PR directors. Please just remember to follow us on Instagram and look at our website. All of the Google Calendar and all of the information for every PLHS event is on the website and our Instagram.
Hi, I'm Brianna. I'm one of the other PR co-directors. And then I just wanted to remind directors to just try and make sure that you're taking pictures at your events and sending them to either myself or Peyton. You can DM us on GroupMe and I can send my number to you guys if you need it to send the photos. But yeah, just make sure you're sending those in so we can get Instagram posts up for you guys. Thank you.
All right, and we have nothing from special events yet, but we're going to end on that for director announcements. Thank you all. You guys have some really great events planned, so I'm excited to see them.
I am so excited to announce our guest speaker for tonight, Mac McCarty. He graduated from the University of Florida with a BA in history and continued on to earn both his JD and MBA from UF. He is a founding member of McCarty Fox PLLC and the founder of predecessor firm McCarty name Fox and Keeter PA here in Gainesville. Some of you may remember that he opened applications for a paid internship opportunity to PLHS members this past summer, which was awesome. And I know we have some people there right now. He is a past president of the 8th Judicial Circuit Bar Association Board of Directors and currently serves on its board of directors. Given that he has both a JD and MBA, he does a lot with the corporate side of law. He has significant experience in the corporate world, specifically business acquisition, business development, and contracting. He is board certified by the Florida Bar in Real Estate and a Florida Supreme Court certified circuit civil mediator. His practice focuses on real estate and business related law, so feel free to ask him any questions you may have. Now, welcome, Mac McCarty.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction. It is really an honor to be speaking with this group again. I have done it in some past years, but not in probably 10 years, roughly. So it is really an honor for me to be here. You've heard a little bit about me, and I want to give you just a little bit more flavor. Technically, I am a quadruple gator. Because, and some may have heard me say this before, but I have again, BA in history, JD from the law school, and MBA from the College of Business. But when I was an undergraduate, 2 years in, I got in the mail an Associate of Arts degree. I had a 2-year degree from the University of Florida. And I always say it's because they mailed it to me because they figured I'd probably never finish the 4 years. Well, I fooled them, and I did finish the 4 years and continue on from there. But again, I do have 4 separate degrees from the University of Florida, but one of them is kind of fun. So, I'm just going to say again a little bit more. I've had a long, as you can tell from like the bald head and the gray beard, a long legal career now. And I was sworn in on April Fool's Day of 1981, which I always considered was a particularly appropriate day to be sworn in on April Fool's Day for the practice of law. But again, it's been a good career, and I've done a lot of different things in my career. I started out with a firm in Jacksonville, Florida, where I was born. There were 8 lawyers and me, actually 8 partners and me, and they all thought that I was their only associate they all thought I was their associate in the law firm. So they all gave me things to do and wanted me to do their things. They never coordinated with one another, so I was very busy. But it gave me a tremendous background because the firm did real estate, it did insurance defense litigation, products liability, personal injury, things like that. They had a real estate department, and so I would scurry around and do closings and learn how to deal with title insurance and closings. They did some corporate work as well because one of the senior partners was on the board of directors for a local bank. So I got a great underpinning to my legal career. And on top of that, and even more importantly, I got great mentoring with an incredibly ethical group. 2 of the senior partners in the firm were former FBI agents, and a couple of them also World War II veterans at that time when I started. So it was really a good group to go with. After about 4 years, I decided I wanted to open my own shop. I wanted to be my own boss. And so I moved back down to Fort Pierce, Florida, where I went to high school and joined up with a buddy of mine who was in law school then, was going to graduate later that same year. And that would have been roughly 1984, I guess. So, it's always interesting to hang out your own shingle. Fortunately, again, I'd had good training, good mentoring. And my partner had gone to high school in Fort Pierce as well and had family connections down there. And so you always do your marketing before you think about where you're going to want to start practicing law as to whether you can build a practice or not. Well, we were very blessed because I had clients of mine in Jacksonville, insurance companies that wanted to use me down in that area. So we started getting revenue relatively quickly. Our first office was a walk-up 2nd floor space in downtown Fort Pierce in an ancient building with about 4-inch shag carpeting on the floor. A lawyer actually gave us that space to use. He also gave us access to his law library, which was all print books back at that time. But I had to laugh. Our first client we had for an estate planning thing, she was going to have a will signed. And, by the time she hiked up the 2 flights of stairs to get to our office, we were actually not certain whether she was going to survive long enough to actually sign the will. But we were not busy starting out much at first. We would sit there and shoot cockroaches on the wall with rubber bands, and that's really what it was. And then we started building a little base of business. Not long after that, my partner to be actually was taking the bar exam, and results were getting close to pending. And I got a phone call, and of course we were our own receptionists and secretaries at that point. So I answered the phone, and it said, Mac? And I go, yes. And he says, this is Jim Alderman. And I had to think first. Well, I didn't have to think. I knew Jim Alderman was also from the Fort Pierce area, and he was a sitting justice on the Florida Supreme Court who happened to know my partner, David Sowerby. So let me just tell you, you pucker up a little bit when you get a phone rings and it's a Supreme Court justice calling you and knows you by name. But he was calling to report that, because he'd gotten the results of the bar exam, he was calling to report that my future partner and then become my partner, David Sowerby, had passed the bar exam. So that was really a cool thing. Well, a few months later, he was in town, or a couple months later, and he had a ceremony to swear in my partner because he'd known the family for some years. And as we were walking away with him after David was sworn in, David made a joke that said, "Well, Your Honor or Justice Alderman, if you ever need a job, we'll be happy to talk to you." And he looked back at us and he said, "Well, you know what? I want to talk to the two of you," because he was leaving the bench and coming to Fort Pierce, and he asked us to join him in the branch office of a 55 lawyer firm, which again, great opportunity. We did that for a couple more years. My spouse was unhappy down there being from Jacksonville. So I had a great opportunity to come back up to Gainesville in 1986. And so we did. Completely different area of law. Well, not completely different, but mostly different area. I was a workers' compensation law specialist. I was defending insurance companies. We grew the firm to 11 lawyers here in Gainesville. And at that point, it was the biggest firm in Gainesville. Did that for a few years, maybe 10, maybe 12. At that point, quite honestly, got burned out. Told my partners, I said, I'm done. It's your firm now. And I went to do something else. I'd received my MBA at that point, and then I went to work for a company that you know as WebMD, if you've ever been online looking for medical things. But that was in a business role, not a legal role. And I was very blessed. I became a direct report to one of the presidents of WebMD, who happened to be based in Alachua, Florida, which obviously right just northwest of here. So I had great opportunity doing acquisitions and special projects for the president, traveled the country, making deals, buying companies. I did that for a few years. Then there was a change in the high command. And, as you may know, if you're in the corporate world, you tend to need not just a mentor, but also someone who will advocate for you in a company. And my leader was gone. So I rolled back out, and then I started practicing real estate law. Previously, I've been certified in workers' compensation. Now I'm certified in real estate. So I did that for a few more years. And then I had an opportunity to go to the University of Florida College of Pharmacy. And you'd think to yourself, what does Mac know about pharmacy? The answer is nothing. I knew nothing about pharmacy. But they hired me to be in a certain center in the College of Pharmacy to work on business development and financial stuff. Again, not legal stuff. I spun out completely from the legal world to work in what was technically the academia, but it was more the business part of academia. Did that for 3.5 years. COVID hit. Very involved in the testing program, and very involved in the vaccination program, the mass vaccinations that they had at the stadium. I was there 40 hours a week, most times helping with that on behalf of the College of Pharmacy. But at the end of the line, my main center moved to Orlando, and I wasn't going to drive back and forth to Orlando or move to Orlando. So I rolled back into the practice of law. And you might ask yourself, why is this old man rambling on about all this different stuff that he did over his career? And the reason I'm doing that is because one of the things I want to share with you is that the practice of law and going to law school prepares you for so much. And of course, grabbing an MBA along the way also helps in that, because you learn a lot more stuff that you didn't learn in law school. And what I tell students, and in our law firm, I've probably had 100 interns, both law clerks, undergraduate interns, PR interns, filers, you name it, because I've obviously been practicing for a long time. I always say, don't be afraid to step off a cliff and go do something different. When I left the practice of law and went to WebMD, I took about a 70% pay cut to get the opportunity. And then within a year, I was making more than I'd made practicing law in the business world, plus getting stock options on there to boot. So it worked out. But I was doing something I wanted to do, something I was interested in, something that was new to me, and I wasn't bored. I wasn't burned out doing it. And then I stepped back in, then I stepped back off, I stepped back in. So I tell students, I tell the folks I've mentored over the years to not be afraid to step off a cliff to follow your dreams, because if you really care about what you're trying to do and you're interested in it, you'll do well and you'll succeed. So that's kind of where I come from, the way I've done my practice. Right now, we're just a two lawyer firm here. The law is kind of a neat thing. About 2 weeks ago, I turned 69 years old, and I could retire if I want to, but I don't really see a great reason to do that, because even at my advanced age and with the infirmities that the interns that work for me who are in your wonderful organization will tell you, people will still pay me, I don't know, $350, $400 an hour to do stuff for them. And I'm happy to do it because I like helping people. So that to me is a really important thing. I've been able to have a long career, and I also do mediations, which is an interesting thing where you're really just trying to help people get to a resolution of a problem. So I've gone on long enough now, but what I really want to do is to hear what you want to know about and what questions you have for me. And this is like a direct threat, because if you don't ask me questions, then I will just keep talking, okay? Until Sydney pushes the mute button on me, all right? And those who've worked around me, those that may be here tonight, know that that's 100% true. And oh, by the way, I'm now teaching in the College of Business Administration. I teach the law of real estate transactions to the Masters of Real Estate course. I do that every year, and that's a wonderful experience as well. Another little sideline, since I apparently don't have enough to do. So, who has a question? Speak up. Don't be shy. I mean, there's no stupid questions unless I laugh at you and tell you that's a stupid question, okay? I know you're prepared. Come
First
on.
question, honestly.
All right.
Yes, I've been thinking about it since I knew you
Good.
were coming tonight. What do you think is like the biggest difference doing corporate law in Gainesville versus if you were in a big city like New York or Miami or something like that? Like, are there big differences?
Yes. Yes. Size of transactions. Okay. In Gainesville, you have a lot of small transactions. I don't know how many limited liability companies I've formed over the years, but in Gainesville, very rare for them to be big company. They don't become big companies. The exception to that was I ended up representing one of the owners of an LLC that got into a dispute with the other 50% owner. I'm not going to name names here, but they ended up in a lawsuit, complicated lawsuit that went on for a while and then went on and on and on for some years after that. I was only in the first part of it, but overall, that lawsuit between the parties ended up costing about $1 million in attorney's fees. Unfortunately, I only got a relatively modest portion of that. But my point is that's the exception to the rule here in Gainesville. Now, I've done transactions, again, all over the country, and if you're dealing in bigger areas, you're going to have bigger transactions, more complicated, higher fees for all concerned. And that's really the big difference. The nuts and bolts are the same. I do business sales here. I use the same form set for a $400,000 or a $300,000 or a $100,000 transaction here that I use for $1 million or $10 million transaction when I was at other places. But it's just the nature and complexity much lower here. Okay, so you're not going to get the same. You're probably not going to get the same volume in a small town, really, and you're certainly not going to get the same size transactions as you would in a bigger town.
Thank you. I don't know if you can see, we have questions in the chat if you want to.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I got the chat open over here. Let's see. What is the experience like working as a civil mediator? Well, again, I love mediations. And you think about it this way too. It's a much lower stress level because the mediation's set. It'll either be Zoom or it'll be live somewhere. And the parties will each send me a summary. Maybe it'll be 2 pages, maybe it'll be 200 pages, don't know. You read that stuff, you go to the mediation, you do about a 2-minute opening, and then you start meeting with one side and the other side going back and forth. And so it really is rewarding if you can get the matter to a resolution. And being a competitor like I am, I compete with myself to try to get it done, because that's what I've been asked to do, is to get it done. But at the end of the day, really, whether it does settle or it doesn't settle, I go home at night. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I send the bill to the parties. And I was preparing for mediation, 2 weeks ago, and I was sitting on the couch at home, and my eldest daughter, who was visiting, and my wife were, I don't know, they were yapping me about something in my ear. I don't know what it was. And I said, you guys can sit here and complain about me, but somebody's paying me $350 an hour to sit here and read this stuff. So you can talk all you want to, and you can watch what you want to on television. I don't care, because I could read it go do the job, and then forget about it. So it is rewarding, and it's also much less stressful. Okay, that's the first one. Another one in here, and I see hands as well. What's the most important thing for someone considering business law to be aware of before pursuing it? Well, if you're going to go to law school and you're really interested in a business law career, I would highly recommend trying to do the joint MBA law program wherever you may be, because you will have greater opportunities to move directly into a legal department of a corporation, or you may decide I'm going to use the legal degree as my background, so to speak, and I'm going to use my MBA to go into the business world. But again, just like a real estate agent, in the legal world, you have to have clients. In the mediator world, you have to have clients. And so, building your base of contacts, building your base of knowledge so that when you meet somebody and you talk to them, they look at you and go, okay, this person's not an idiot. I might want to use them for what I'm doing, either business wise or law wise. So what you need to be aware of is that pretty much every aspect of the law involves interpersonal relations and trying to build these contacts. Law firms in our law firm, we had 11 lawyers here. We had what were called developer bees and worker bees. Okay, the developer bees were the ones that had a knack for business development, client development, and so forth, and the workers were the ones that did not have that knack, but that they were good at doing what they do. So some of us, people like me, being a business development kind of guy, were out front and center and making contacts, building business. And we had other lawyers that sat, and they didn't want to do that part of the job. They wanted to sit and work. But the same is true in the business law. But the thing is, you have to build your base of knowledge, probably undergraduate, and then also law/MBA if you're thinking about it. Do you think your undergraduate degree in history helped you in law school throughout your career? No, not really. I would have been better, I believe, with an English degree rather than a history degree, only because I may have had to write more in my undergraduate time. You have to write a lot in law school. Exams are typically written exams, and being able to put sentences together well, be able to organize your thoughts in a coherent fashion and get those on the paper, an important thing of law school. So probably an English degree, but it doesn't really matter. There were some engineering students in law school. They were right where they wanted to be because they wanted to be patent lawyers. Okay. And so they got their engineering degree. And let me just tell you, those folks, when they graduated, they had jobs because there was a dearth of folks with engineering degrees that at that time that wanted to be lawyers. Okay. Received my BA in history. I received my AA in high school, so I have 2 extra years before typical law school applications. What additional benefits would you say you have received by getting an MBA? Again, law school teaches you how to think in a certain way. Okay. And you can't ever unlearn that once you learn to think like they teach you in law school. Your reading speed slows down in law school and your thought processes change, and drives my family crazy and has for 40 years now, because I see things in a different light. I see the potential liabilities. I look at when the kids were growing up, I look at the dishwasher and I say, don't put knives in pointing up in the dishwasher, because if you happen to trip and fall and you tripped into the dishwasher, you could, put out an eye or stab yourself with a knife sticking upright in the dishwasher. Well, they laugh, make fun of me, including my wife at that time, until I showed them the article about the guy who had tripped and fallen and put out an eye falling into an upturned knife in a dishwasher. So you learn to think these ways, but it also haunts you. It haunts you because you think these ways. After you get an MBA, you learn a different way of thinking. I look at everything now also in the light of what is a business opportunity? What can I do to promote this business opportunity? Who do I need to come in and build a team for? Because our MBA was all about team building, working as a team. All of our projects, all of our work, we built as a team, and that was a wonderful process. So that's the real value to me of getting the MBA, is learning yet another new way of thinking and being able to work effectively in a team. I did mention perhaps to Sydney that I would be a strong advocate for these meetings going back to live at some point, because that is the type of interpersonal relationships that you should build and practice in live meetings with groups like this. That's just unsolicited advice for which there is no extra charge. The UF Law program has dual degrees, one of which is master's in real estate. I think it's a good idea to get into real estate, even if it's not something you're particularly crazy about. I think the reason I think is compelling is because I think real estate degree could be helpful in my hometown. I think that's certainly true. The combo program with the Masters of Real Estate, I also believe is a good one. It'll teach you a specialty. But if you don't love it, hard to know how great you'll be at it. So you got to, I don't know that I'd pursue that degree just because of the potential opportunity. If you're not going to enjoy it, you're not going to enjoy it. And then you may think about a regular MBA, so you at least have more flexibility about what you would do later on. I see Peyton Davis here. Is that your hand up still? What you got for me?
I had a question after you went over your background and all the different firms you've worked for. What would you say is a benefit of working for a smaller firm or being the partner when there's only a couple other attorneys at the firm?
Great question. Having worked in firms with as big as 55 lawyers and as few as me only, I am more comfortable in a smaller firm environment. Even when we had 11 lawyers, we were what I called an egalitarian firm. Everyone who came in had the opportunity to make a partner. We were more of a lifestyle-based firm rather than a profit-driven firm. Oh, and by the way, that's another thing about me. I have never been driven by money. I just haven't been. I've made a good living. I've done fine, but I'm not driven by that. That is not the primary thing in my life. Primary thing in my life is helping people, and getting paid for it is just a bonus to me. So in a lifestyle firm, then you can say, okay, we're going to take the lawyers, and as they become partners, it's going to spread out, flat. So our earnings are going to be relatively equivalent in the firm, but we're not going to be the pyramid firm. The big firms are pyramids, and you have this whole host at the bottom of the pyramid. I don't have three hands, so I can't put the bottom one down here. Maybe like I'm doing YMCA song or something. I don't know. But anyway, but you get my point. There's the pyramid. All right. Down here are all the associates. The old rule of thumb is first year associate lawyer loses money. Second year they break even. Third year they start making money for you. And the big firms keep associates in associate roles, paying them a little more every year until they are 5, 6, 7, 8-year associates. And then of that group that started, there may only be 1 or 2 of them that ever make partner in that firm, because you can't take all these down here and put them up here, or it's going to be a reverse pyramid, right? And when you have a reverse pyramid, well, guess what? All the earnings at the top suffer. So I've never been that way, and you have to be a certain type of personality that you want to get into that situation, understanding that you may work like a pack dog or a pack mule for 5, 6, 7 years, and then somewhere along the line they're going to say to you, yeah, it's been great having you here, but you're not going to make partners, so maybe you can become a permanent associate or something like that, or a non-equity partner where you can keep getting paid for working, but you're not going to get the distributions that the other partners get. So my preference was always to be in a smaller firm where I wasn't so concerned about earnings, but more concerned about lifestyle. I always tell my staff, I tell our other lawyers when we had firm, is that, we love babies. Our lead paralegal here in our little firm, our only paralegal in our little firm, her little daughter Evie was born last July and spent about 2 months with us in the office, right? Right down in a little carrier right beside mama, and we were happy with that. But big firms, you have more trouble doing that. Less now than you did back when I started, obviously, because times have changed, but because they're much more liberal Family Leave Act and so forth, and maternity leave, and work from home has eased that some too. But just the casual atmosphere. Those who have been in my office know that probably 80% of the time I'll work in shorts and flip-flops because most of my clients know me well enough that they come in, they don't care. If I'm going to meet a new client or I'm going to go to court, obviously I'll do something different to be the right show the right decorum in there. But I've always told my clients, I said, if you think I'm any smarter in a coat and tie than I am in shorts and flip-flops, then you got the wrong person. Okay, is that I'm helping you with that? Okay. All right. Who's next? Anthony?
Oh, I think Sydney
All right.
You can go. You're good.
All right, thank you. So you mentioned that you were in workers' comp before until
Yes.
you got burned out and eventually moved on. I just really wanted to ask, even though it might be a little hard to pinpoint, what indications specifically kind of like show that burnout sensation and whether and like what you could do to avoid that unless you really can't? Because like I want to know whether you can distinguish between whether it's the area of law that's burning you out or just the place where you're practicing it, for instance.
So when I first came back up to Gainesville and started practicing work comp law full time, I had 400 case files. Okay, that was way too many. Didn't recognize it at the time. You know, I was a young guy. I was 30 years old, maybe 32, whatever it was. I forget what it was. I forget the numbers, 33, 40, whatever. But you know, I was all in. Okay, but that is a brutal caseload. Over time, as we expanded, the caseloads went down some, but it was still a lot of case files. And then I became the senior partner when the senior partner ahead of me retired and became a full-time mediator. And so then you always are worrying, you have the stress of, are we bringing in enough work to keep the ball rolling? We got to feed all these families because we had 11 lawyers and 20 more staff. We are 30 something people here in Gainesville. And so we're always concerned. You're always concerned up there as to, are you going to be able to keep it going? Plus you have to win, and I was trying cases all the time in workers' comp world. You try cases. You don't have jury trials, but they're trials. And what finally happened to me was I realized, and this is what told me I had to get out of it. I realized that when I tried a case, I didn't care whether I won or lost. And those who know me know I am a hyper competitive type of person. So when I had the self realization that I was trying cases, representing my clients, but I didn't really care if I won or lost, I knew I had to get out of it because I wasn't doing right by my clients at that point. So how could I have avoided it? Boy, trying to find a better work-life balance. I don't know how many family vacations I missed over the years, but a lot. Family events, and trying to carve out time for. Well, first off, let me say, my youngest daughter and I, she just turned 29, and I went to Scotland for 10 days this summer. She had one request of me before I went, and that was, Dad, don't work on this vacation, because in her entire lifetime, every vacation I did go on with the family, I had to work some. Okay. I did phone calls from the tops of mountains out west when I was skiing. Okay. I did stuff from the islands wherever I could find internet or phone enough to do it. You name it, wherever I've been, I work from there. And that price you pay when you're a professional. And so trying to find a better work-life balance will help you avoid the burnout. But it's hard in this profession. Okay. It's hard. Okay. Sydney?
Yeah, so my question, obviously law school is very expensive, especially nowadays. Do you think that the cost of tuition currently makes sense for what it is, and like long term, if you have to take out loans, like realistically, how long until you're successful enough for them to be worth it, if that makes sense?
That's a very good question. And I think what you may have seen is that the number of law students in the state of Florida, I believe, has declined, has it not? With Florida, is Florida Coastal closed or just downsized? Do you know, anybody know that? The Florida Coastal
closed.
Pardon?
I believe they closed.
I believe they closed well. And they used to have the biggest classes in all the state of Florida, if I'm not mistaken. So there has been a slowdown, and it goes in these cycles, peaks and troughs, where the need for young lawyers coming out of law school is great and the salaries go up, and then then there's this either a downturn in the business world, like the crash of 2007 through 10 or 11 or whatever it was. And so you have this glut of lawyers. And so then you say, well, gosh, going to law school is not very good because salaries are depressed and you can't make a living. So I think it is hard to justify incurring a ton of debt for law school, because when you come out of law school, yeah, you might find a job if you're a really good student that's making six figures and change coming out. But there are a whole host of jobs where you may make $40,000 coming out, and that's tough to justify all that debt on a $40,000 a year job. When I was in law school, I didn't have any money. Okay. So I worked all the way through law school doing one thing or another. At one point in law school, I was working 4 different jobs and going to law school. That was too much. But I was able to keep my debt down, and also going to an in-state school like Florida where their tuition was lower was also a helpful thing. I mean, the University of Florida now has, and many of these other schools have a lot of programs with grants and scholarships that will really help defray that cost. But it is very true. If you come out of law school and the only job you can get is an assistant public defender, you better love criminal law defense, and you better understand that you're not going to make that much money. So that's a very valid question. And there's not a great answer other than you better weigh it carefully. All right, who else got something for me? Oh, by the way, I'm going to send you guys a link. If I can figure out how to push the right button. Boom. Did you just get that come up in your chat box there? Yes, no? Yeah. That book is, I just sent you the Amazon link. The book is called One L of a Ride. And this book was written by Professor Andrew J. McClurg, who I know as Andy or AJ. And he's written a number of books about law school. And this one is in its 4th edition or something at this point. And I've been told, and I know that there are a couple of anecdotes in there that came up when Andy and I were in law school together. So when we started here at Florida, I didn't know anybody in my class, but Andrew McClurg alphabetically was right next to McCarty. So in every class starting out in law school, we got seated right next to each other because it was all alphabetical when we were 1Ls. And we became very good friends and roommates, off and on during our law school career. Andy is he was a chair, he's semi-retired now. He was a chaired professor at the University of Memphis Law School, teaching criminal law, criminal procedure, he's well known on gun rights. But what he's really known for is as a humorist. And he used to write the American Bar Association journal column on legal humor, and he's written a number of books. That book, The One L of a Ride, is recommended to in many places as a book to read because it's about the first year of law school and what to expect and how to survive it. And so I'm sending that to you, not because Andy's a friend of mine. I've talked to Andy a couple of times, but I haven't seen him in probably 10 years now, but because it is a well-respected book that gives you an idea of what you should expect if you decide to go to law school. Okay. Other questions? What you got for me? And Sydney, keep track of our time. I'm happy. I'll sit here and talk all night. I don't care, but keep track of the time.
Thank you. Does anyone have like one more question to wrap up the meeting? Oh, there's one in the chat from Melissa, if you see that.
All right, let's see. This is, what are the best recommendations for pre-law students to prepare for the journey to law school to gain insight more about the legal field besides getting firsthand experience? Well, again, coincidentally, I just sent you that book, which talks about, law school. I think if you can find an internship with a law firm, or maybe one law firm per year or something, if you have that much time in undergrad, just to get a peek, and whether it's a paid or an unpaid internship, just to get a peek at what happens in a law firm. My office is an absolute mess. I mean, there's stuff stacked everywhere in here, and that's kind of the way I've done business over my career. It's not not the best way, but the point is, my career has always been busy, except for when we first started down in Fort Pierce. And getting an idea of what you have to do and how hard lawyers work is probably a good glimpse of what life will be after law school. And, preparing for the journey through law school is understanding that it will dominate your life. There are occasional parties and things like that, but you have to read a ton and you have to know the material. You have to be prepared in class because you'll get called on and regurgitate things. Which reminds me, by the way, of an anecdote with Andy McClurg. We were in a criminal procedure class, and we were all in our 3L year, our senior year, so to speak, of law school. And I did not like the Socratic method. And you guys know what the Socratic method is? Anybody? No? Yes? Maybe? Basically, the professors just pick you out of the group and call on you and grill you and ask you questions about stuff. I never liked that particularly. I'm sure it had nothing to do with the fact that I was rarely completely prepared, but that's a different story. And we were sitting in this criminal procedure class with a well-known professor, and Andy and I were talking to each other, and I said, I'm so sick of this Socratic method stuff. I tell you, if he calls on me, I'm just going to tell him, Professor Bennett, Professor Bennett, at this point in my law school career, if I have something to say, I'll raise my hand. And Andy was like, yeah, I agree. I'm going to do that too. I'm just sick of all this stuff. So lo and behold, that same day, Professor Bennett calls on me. So, being a person of my convictions who also is not particularly bright at times, I said, Professor Bennett, at this point in my law school career, if I have something to say, I'll raise my hand. And he goes, well, okay, Mr. McCarty, I hope you have something to say on your exam. And it's okay. So then he went right next to me where Andy was sitting. He says, Mr. McClurg, what about that question? And Andy sits there and just yammers out the answer. Doesn't say a single word, leaves me twisting in the wind before my professor. And that was my good buddy Andy McClurg. And I've never forgiven him for that. And I think that actually shows up in one of his books, as a matter of fact. So anyway, law school will dominate your life. It will dominate relationships. I think Andy has written, maybe in conjunction with some others, about the impact. Andy got divorced during law school. A nice wife, but got divorced in law school because, again, a lot of it's just the pressure of what you're going through and the fact that your spouse just won't understand it. When I was single in Jacksonville after I graduated, I was dating a paralegal for a good firm there in Jacksonville. Wonderful, wonderful person. And we got along great. But I was working really hard as an associate in this law firm with 8 partners. And there were things I just couldn't do. I couldn't go out and do the things that I couldn't go out after work every day because I had too much to do. And then she decided she wanted to go to law school. And I said, that's great. And she was accepted into the University of Mississippi School of Law in Oxford. And the last night we were going to have together in Jacksonville, I was at the office until 2 a.m. finishing an appellate brief that had to be in the mailbox that night to meet the deadline. So that was not a good indicator of how things would go. She goes to law school. She transfers back to the University of Florida. We break up at some point along the way, stayed friends. And then I saw her again, call it 3 or 4 years, 5 years after that. I was down at a conference in Orlando and we had dinner together. And she said, Max, she says, I just want to apologize to you. She said, I had no idea what it took to be practicing law full time at a busy firm. And then once she graduated, she'd done the same thing with a busy firm in Orlando. And it was really nice of her to say that, because it does take a toll on relationships going through law school and practicing law after that. Okay. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Attendance forms I see. I don't have to fill that out, do I? I get credit automatically, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What's a good way to reach out to small firm internships? Is that the question in last question in there? I really think that stopping by little law firms and dropping off a resume, making a good appearance, introducing yourself, and deciding, are you going to try to get a paid internship? Or are you willing to do an internship for free? Lots of law firms like to have people that work for free. Again, I've always believed in paid internships, but that's just me. So I think I get literally 100+ emails a day related to work, no spam, just work. And so I have, pick up my phone. I currently have 29,056 emails on my phone that are unread. Okay. So sending emails to lawyers, who's going to see it? Who's going to see it? So stopping by and dropping off a resume might be a good thing. My drop off resume story, pour you for another minute. In the law firm in 1986, 1987, when I was practicing, I needed a new legal assistant. My legal assistant was an insurance adjuster, and she really wasn't a legal assistant. So she knew that times were not good. In other words, she knew that she wasn't really getting the job done. So a young lady walked into the law firm and dropped off her resume. She and her husband and child were moving to Gainesville, and she had experience in workers' comp, from a law firm over on the Space Coast. And so the resume was taken by my legal assistant. I was out of the office, and she immediately threw it in the garbage can. Well, my senior partner's wife, who was our office manager, saw the person come in, heard her speak, saw how she looked, and plucked the resume out of the garbage can and said, "Hey, Mac, you might want to talk to this person." So we set up a meeting, had breakfast up at Perkins Restaurant up there by the mall here in Gainesville, and next thing you know, she was hired, and the other assistant was let go, and it turned out to be a wonderful hire, a really great person. Yeah, don't know how it would work out these days, but actually, that's my wife at this point of 32 years. So it turned out to be a very good partnership in so many ways. That she worked for the firm for a number of years, and then ultimately, after we had both been divorced, we ended up starting the date, ended up married, and then she said, "I'm not working for you anymore." I've asked her to come back to work for me at this point, and she says, "Oh, I'm not ever going to work for you again." So I think she was a very good actress when she worked for me before, but a great paralegal, by the way. Anyway, anything else, guys? It's been really fun, and I'm so happy to have been able to visit with you. One more question, Helena?
Yeah, if I could just ask, so most of our speakers obviously tell us about what law school is like, but could you tell us anything about what business school is like and how it's different?
Yeah. Business school was, again, it was great for me. I never enjoyed law school. I almost quit law school. In fact, I took a quarter off. We were on quarter system back then. I took a quarter off, went out to Palo Alto, where my girlfriend of that time was going to Stanford, and I worked at a Kinko's, which now are FedEx offices, right? But a Kinko's out there in Los Gatos, I guess it was, or out there for the semester, because I hated law school. I really did. But MBA school, I embraced wholeheartedly, because I really felt like, again, working with the team, working on projects, planning businesses, learning new information on a broad range of topics, because an MBA gives you this, unless you can have some subspecialties, of course, with MBAs, but getting a broad range of business experience or business education that I never had before, except for a few business classes in law school, like corporations and corporate finance, which I had no background in, but I really enjoyed when I was there. So it's a different approach. It's a teamwork approach. It's a non-threatening approach. You don't have the Socratic method being used in MBA school, because the emphasis is on working with other people. Okay, that help? Okay.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for answering my emails. I can't believe I stood out in your very busy inbox. I'm sure we all learned so much from you tonight. We really appreciate having you here, and for all of your help with everything PLHS related. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. And again, I'm so happy I thought about, getting with you guys about internships, because again, really happy with our interns, and, looking forward, hopefully, to continuing that relationship as the current group ages out and graduates over time. So hope we can do that. So
Yes,
thank you so much.
so much. Have a
Yep,
great
have
night.
a great evening. All right. Bye-bye.
Guys, before you leave, make sure that you send your attendance in.
if you need, I can resend it to you.
And if anyone has any questions, feel free to stay on and ask.